back to some more TriPeaks. We're going to be taking a look at 8 new decks today. Some of them are fairly standard decks with standard designs. Others have beautiful, unique art on every card. We'll be playing a full game of TriPeaks with each deck, and I hope you'll find it relaxing and enjoyable. Let's start with what is probably the most eye-catching thing out of that assortment of decks. This is the Let's Play Bridge deck box, and this is actually fairly cheap. You get 6 decks, each a different color, and it costs less than $10, surprisingly, for all 6 decks. We're going to be playing with 2 of them today, because it would be pretty boring if just for half the video we were playing with only these decks. But I do want to take these other decks out of the box, just to show you what else comes in the box. And that is a score pad, which I didn't mean to peel that off, but that's okay. That's probably what happened here as well. And we also have a rule book for bridge, or I guess a rule pamphlet. I've never played bridge in my life. Pretty much the only thing I play with playing cards is Solitaire. Although I do know how to play poker. I'm not good at it, but I know the rules. So, we'll be putting these decks aside and playing with them another day. For now, we're just going to be focusing on these 2. So, we're going to start with the red deck, and then at the end of the video, we'll cap it off with the purple deck. So, these Let's Play Bridge decks are kind of similar to the axolotl decks in that they are 4-color decks. So, these decks are not very good for something like Klondike or Free Cell, but they're great for Fortress or Beleaguered Castle, or Baker's Game, or any game that does not use alternate color stacking. And they have these really nice floral backgrounds. They're also bridge size. And bridge size decks are pretty nice when playing Solitaire because it means that Solitaire layouts that are normally quite wide are much easier to fit on the table. And TriPeaks is a good example. So let's get into dealing our first game of TriPeaks. Alright, and our first card is a king. So let's go ace, king, queen, jack, and now we could go with the 10 or the queen can go to 7 or we can go down to 5. Let's go to 5 because then we get 4. Ooh, and there's a 2. This is a great start. 3 and 2. That was our first card from the stock, and we cleared so much of the field. There's an ace and a 7. We can do 8, 9 or 8, 7. Let's do 8, 7 because this one has more cards being blocked. Got a 10. Let's go 9 and 10 and 9. There's a queen or a king. Sorry, we can take the queen. 3. We can go 2 or 4. Let's go with the 4 because there's more cards on this stack being blocked. And 5. We can take this 6. And now we get a 7 and an 8. That's nice. We get an ace. Let's take 2 and 3 and 4. Only 2 cards left, and we've got plenty of the stock left. I think we win this one. There we get the ace. And all we need is a 5 or a 7. Uh-oh. Are there really no 5s or 7s left in the deck? There we go. Okay. And there we go, our first game with the Let's Play Bridge red deck. A pretty simple deck in a box of simple decks, but I think they're quite nice. And I also like the 4-color decks. I think they're really helpful for some games. Next, we have the Gem playing cards. This deck was manufactured by the same company that made the If It Fits, I Sits deck from the last video. But unfortunately, this deck is quite cheap. First of all, it doesn't even have jokers. The other deck also didn't have jokers. I don't know if I mentioned that in the last video. But the main thing about this deck is that I don't know how it shows on the camera, but you can see the pack is already starting to fade. And I haven't even used these cards that much. I've only played maybe like 10 or so games with them, and they're already starting to fade. This one looks okay. But this top one, you can see, not looking okay. So unfortunate, but still a decent deck. The theme of this deck is pretty simple. It's just gems on the faces. I don't know much about gems or crystals, so I wouldn't be able to identify any of them. If they even are identifiable and are not just like generic gems. And we'll give it one more shuffle. Alright. So, game number 2 with the gems deck. first card is a 2. So let's go ace, king, queen, and king. We reveal an 8. We draw an 8. So we've got a lot of cards very close to each other. Let's try to work out the best way to do this. What about 7, 8, 9, 8, 9, 10? I think that's the best we can do. So let's do that. 7, 8, 9, 8, 9, and 10. Ooh, and we get a jack. That's nice. And a king. So we go jack, queen, king. We could go down to queen, or we could go up to ace. I think I'm going to go up to ace, because that gets us a card immediately, and it's a jack. Doesn't help us right now. Let's draw again. Another queen. Let's go jack, and I think I'm going to go with the 10 rather than the queen. Okay. 4. Let's go 3 and 4. And a 9. We could go 8, 7, or 10. Let's go with the 8, 7. And another 7. A 4. A 5. A 10. So far, no cards we can use. There we go. We get a jack. Let's take the 10. And another jack. That's perfect. Now we can take the queen. And there's another 7. We get a 5, a 2, so we can take the 3, and the 2. An ace, that doesn't help. We need a 6 or not a 5, a 6 or an 8. But I think we might have used all the 8s already. 9 doesn't help. There is a 6, but we need another one. I think we might have, oh, we do have another 6. So all we need is a queen or an ace. And I don't think we do. The very last card was an ace, and we win our second game with the Gem deck. Again, a pretty poor quality deck, but I like most of my decks, even the ones that are poor quality. So, next up is the Bicycle Sparrow Hanafuda Fusion deck. I've used this in some videos in the past, some of my early videos, and this is a beautiful deck. If you don't know, Hanafuda is a type of Japanese playing card. It uses a different numbering and suit system than French-style playing cards. And so these cards are actually designed so that they can play either French-type games or Hanafuda games. And you can actually see on these cards, they have the Hanafuda suit underneath the French suit. I wouldn't be able to name all the Hanafuda suits. They're all named after flowers, and I don't remember them all, but they're also named after months as well. And you can actually tell the value of the card based on the illustration. It's kind of a complicated system, and I don't fully understand it, but there are a few semi-popular games that use Hanafuda cards. We're just going to use them to play TriPeaks, though. regardless, it is a beautiful deck with amazing art on it. We'll give this one more shuffle. Then we'll get into TriPeaks. Alright, game number 3. Uh-oh, I dealt them upside down. That's a shame. I'll flip them right side up when I move them to the discard pile, so you can see the art in its proper orientation. And our first card is the King. So let's go Queen and Jack. We'll draw again. We get a 9. So we'll take the 8. Next is another King. Nothing we can do with that. And a Jack. Again, nothing we can do with that. A 5. Let's take the 6 and the 5. Another King. We're losing all these Kings early. And we've got all 4 2s on the field right now. And a 10, let's take the Jack. So far, this game is not going great. Another Jack. We just keep getting cards we cannot use. We've barely cleared any cards and we're already, I think, over halfway through the stock. This might be the unluckiest game we've gotten in this series so far. We'll take the 3. And we'll take this 2. A 9. Okay, we're starting to get some more moves at least. We'll take this 7. And then this 8. Whoops, that one's already right side up. An ace, we'll take the... We can take the 2 and the 3, or the king and the queen. We'll take the 2, I think. And we take the 3 now. Nothing. Oh no, we can take the 6. We reveal a new card. The queen. And a 4. A 5. A 10. More cards that we just cannot use. A 9. Finally, something we can use. There's another 9. A 10. This is actually, without a doubt, the unluckiest game of TriPeaks I've ever gotten. Just nothing we can use. We'll take the queen from this side so we reveal a card. And our last card is a 4, which we cannot use. So, 1, 3, 6, 9 cards still on the field. Very unusual to still have that many cards still on the field at the end of a game of TriPeaks. Usually you only have a couple. So, quite an unlucky game. But a amazing deck. I hope you enjoyed the art on that one because it's just beautiful. Always love bringing this one out. is just called the Floral Black Cat deck. Look at these jokers. So cute. I quite like the back with the flowers and kitties. I always love these black cat decks because, as I said in my last video in this series, I have 3 black cats. So, and I love them all very much, but they are troublemakers sometimes. For example, one of the reasons that we're back on this dark background is because my cats keep scratching at the green felt mat, so I had to take it off. We might bring it back again. I did get some comments from people saying they liked it, but I also got comments from people saying that they thought it was a little too bright and they preferred the dark background because they like to watch at night, which is also part of why I brought back the dark background. But we can switch it up if people want to see the green felt again. We can bring back the green felt, or we can bring back the light blue that I use when I use black decks, because I find the black decks are a bit hard to see on this dark background, so I tend to use a lighter background with those decks. We'll probably end up seeing that at some point in this series. Whenever I decide to use all my black decks, we'll do a video with the lighter background. And our first card is, let's flip this over so I can just flip them like this. We start with a 2, so let's take a 3 and a 2. Next, a Jack. I love these face cards, by the way, they're so adorable. We'll take the Queen. Well, actually, wait. We could do Queen, King, or we could do 10, 9, 8. I think we're gonna do 10, 9, 8 because we get more cards that way. And we get a 7, which means we get 6 and a 5. That's nice. And we get a 10, which will go with the Jack, Queen, King whenever we get a 9 or something. 3, 6, and there's the 9. So let's go 10, Jack, Queen, King, and that's it. 7 we can go. Now let's do this 8 because it's covering 2 cards. And then 9. Oh, we get both 8s. What am I thinking? And 9. Jack, that doesn't help. This does. We get 4, 3, and 4. We get a 10. Nothing we can do with that. We can do something with that ace. We get a king. And now we can go queen or ace. Let's take the ace because it gets us a card. A queen. A 3. Let's take this 4 here. Another queen. 10. An ace. And there we go, a 5. We can go 4 or we can go 6, 7. Let's take 6 and 7. 2, 6, and let's take the 7. Jack and queen. 5 and 4 and 5. And now all we need is a king. last video, we looked at those 2 Coca Cola decks from the tin. This time, we've got a different Coca Cola deck. One of many in my research. Unfortunately, these Coke decks don't get any sort of more specific names. They just call them Coca Cola playing cards, which must make it pretty annoying if you are a Coca Cola collector trying to find all of the different Coca Cola decks, and they just call them all Coca Cola playing cards without going into any more specifics than that. So these decks are mostly standard, but the face cards feature vintage Coca Cola ads, which is pretty cool. I wouldn't call myself the biggest Coca Cola fan. More of a Pepsi person. Specifically Diet Pepsi. Something very refreshing about Diet Pepsi. It got bad for a while. There was a while where Diet Pepsi sort of started to taste worse for a long time. And then I think relatively recently they switched back to the old formula, and it got good again. But in terms of Coke, it's okay. I drink it every once in a while, but I wouldn't call myself like a big Coca-Cola head or anything like that. I don't drink it every week or anything like that, even every month. Probably go several months between having Cokes. Some of those Coca Cola ads. I should get a sponsorship for this video. I know I've joked with a few people about getting a bicycle sponsorship, but what about a Coca Cola sponsorship? And we go up to 10, and we get Jack, Queen, and King. Can we get an ace as well? That would be pretty awesome. No, it stops at the King. But we do get a 3. Let's go 4, 3. And I think we'll take the 2 rather than the 4. 2 2s, 2 4s, and we had another 4. Lots of cards on the field in that 2 to 4 range. Might be difficult if too many of them are on the field and not enough of them are in the stock. We might have a hard time connecting these cards. Let's go 10 and Jack. We get an ace. Let's take the 2 because there are more 2s on field and we want to get rid of them as soon as we can, because we can always get rid of the kings with a queen instead. A 9, we'll take this 8. A 5, let's take the 4 because again, there are 2 6s as well actually. Well, we'll take the 4 anyways, because like I said, that low card range had a lot of cards on the field, so we might have a hard time finding ways to connect these cards, so let's take the 4s now. And we can take this 10 There's an ace, we get the 2. Another 9, a 5. Let's take this 6 because it reveals 2 cards. And we get a 7. And another 6. Okay, there's a 2. Let's take the 3 and the 4. I got kind of a bad feeling about this one. For some reason, I don't think we're gonna win. We're getting pretty close to the end of the stock here, but we only have 2 cards left. A 6 and a jack. Okay, we get the 6. We just need a queen or a 10. And it turns, oh, the last card was a queen. Nice. And there we go. The Coca Cola deck. I do like these vintage ads. Next, we have a bit of a strange one. This is the Citation deck. I tried to look up what the origin of this was. Citation apparently was a race horse. And they made a couple of these collectible decks based on Citation, as well as some other racehorses in a similar style to this deck. But I was only able to find this one. And what I really like about this deck is that, I don't know how well it shows up on the camera, but the side is gold. They have gold trim on them, which is really cool looking. Let's take the jokers out. I almost shuffled it with the jokers still in. The only thing about this one is that it did not come with a box, which is why I had it in that plastic container there. I don't know that much about horses or horse racing, so I wouldn't really be able to give any kind of insight on this deck or this horse. Pretty much my opinion of this deck is that is a pretty nice picture of a horse on the back, and that the gold trim on the sides is really cool. And beyond that, I don't have much to say about this deck. The face designs are pretty standard. It's a standard ready slip deck. I've used these on the channel before. Nothing really noteworthy about them. This one is a little bit yellowed. This was another yard sale pickup. We start with a king, and we can't do anything with it. There's a 10, we can do something with that. I think we're gonna go Jack 10, 9, 8, 7. Nothing we can do with that 9, unless we get like a 10 or something, but I would rather take, well, we can choose between the 7 or the 9 here. I'm not sure which one is better. I think probably the 7, just because the 7 is blocking a lot of cards, so. There's another 7, and a 6. We'll take the last 7. Another 6. Another 7. I think that's all 4 7s that we've seen now. And uh-oh. This is another one that doesn't seem to be going so well. Let's take the king. that's even better because we get an extra 2 at the end. And another 3. Okay. This is going pretty well. Can't do anything with a 4. 8, 10, we can. We can go 9, 10, or 9, 8. Oop, I just realized there was a card I didn't reveal here. Let's go 9, 8 because that pile has more cards on it, so I feel like I should start working on it. There's a 5. Oop, I have to reveal this. Keep missing cards to reveal. 4, which means we get this 5. 8, 2. Jack, so we get 10. And Jack. Actually, doesn't seem like this is going to be a winner unless we get some amazing draws. Because this pile still has so many and we're running out of cards in the stock. Okay, we finally get this king out of there. And we'll take this queen. That lets us take the 8. Still not very optimistic about this. We get the 5. Need an absolutely crazy combo here. And I think now it's impossible. Yep. So 3 cards remaining. Another loss. I actually haven't been keeping track of the win rate tonight. So I'll have it on the screen, but I have no clue what it is right now. I'm going to take a guess, see how close I am. I think we're 4 and 2. 4 wins, 2 losses. I don't know. But let's just take one last look at that gold trim. Lovely. Next, we've got a pretty standard one. This is the Parkson's Cardamundi Red and Gold Classic. The red color specifically. I have a set of these. They came in a set of 3. And the other 2 are different colors, so you will see very similar decks to this one in future videos. The only difference between them is the color of the back. Besides that, the decks are the same. These cards actually have a pretty nice feel to them. And a pretty decent plastic coating considering that they were quite cheap. I'll give it one more shuffle. And game number 7, I believe. I do quite like this back design too. This is another bridge size deck. I actually bought this deck when I was trying to expand the bridge size decks in my collection because I mostly just had poker size decks, and then I went out and bought a bunch of bridge size decks just in case I needed them for some solitaire games. And I bought this set of 3, and I bought that Let's Play Bridge set. So our first card is a 6. We can go 5, 4, 3, or 5, 6, 5. Oh, let's do 5, 6, 5, 4, 3. Hopefully we can get some more cards when we reveal. A 2 or a 4 would be nice so we can get this 3. A 5, that doesn't help. But still a decent start. Draw 6 so we get this 5. A 7, that's nice because we get 8. 9. And we're gonna keep going up. We're not gonna take the 8, we're gonna go 10. And we'll do this jack so we get a card revealed. There's a 2. We got 2 2s now. Would have liked those earlier. Alright, so let's take this 3. And we'll take... Ooh, nice. We get another 3, so we can take this 2. And we get the 3. That ace is also great. We get a 2, and then an ace, and then a king. 10, we can take 9, 8, or the jack. Let's go with the 9, 8. The correct decision, because now we get a 7 as well. We get to pick which 7 we want. I'm gonna do this one, because it gets us a card right away. We get a 9, an 8. We'll take this 7. A 3, that gets us 4, and 5. An ace, no king. But we do get a jack, which means we can take queen, and we'll take the jack because that reveals 2 cards. And that ace will be nice because we can chain that into the king. That 8 lets us get the 7. This game is looking pretty promising. King, ace, king, and queen. And look at that. That was a really nice win. We had so many cards remaining. A good showing from the red and gold classic deck. And finally, to cap it off, we end with the sibling of the deck we started off the video with, the Let's Play Bridge purple deck. This is pretty much the exact same deck, except the back is colored purple instead of red. But it has the same 4-color setup. Actually, this one is already in order, so I must have already played something with this and won. It was probably Fortress. I've played Fortress with these Let's Play Bridge decks many times because I really like playing Fortress with 4-color decks. Alright, final game for tonight, game number 8. To start off our last game, we draw a 10. So we can go Jack, 10, Jack, or Jack, 10, 9, 8, 9. I think we're going to do the second one because that gets us more cards. Ooh, maybe not. Maybe we want that queen instead. No, we still get more by going down. let's do 5, 6 because there's 2 6s. This is a pretty nice combo waiting to happen. And there it is. We'll go ace, king, queen, and jack. 10 and jack. Good, I'm glad we're getting rid of all those jacks. It's scary when you have a ton of cards of the same rank on the field. So let's go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was a very good card to get. Maybe we can get an 8. That would be pretty nice. There it is. Nice. Can we ask for a 10? Is that too much to ask for? Unfortunately, we do not get a 10. We do get a queen, though, which means we can take jack and queen. Let's take this 3 here. And an ace. That doesn't help. We can take this 9 here. 4 and 5. And another 4 and 3. And this is looking like it's going to be another easy win. There we go. The Let's Play Bridge deck with a big win. So many cards left. So overall, a great showing tonight. I think we had way more wins than losses tonight. So, if you're still awake, thank you so much for watching. I hope you fall asleep soon. This is just part 2 of this series. We've got many, many decks left to go. So if you enjoy this, there's definitely going to be more coming. Consider subscribing if you'd like to see more Solitaire card games. Or we also do some other stuff on this channel as well. Currently, the 2 main things we're doing besides Solitaire are tabletop role-playing games. Specifically, we've been playing the game Wkchxd Darkness, and we're also doing a series where we play through the computer game Myst, which is also a lot of fun, and I've gotten a lot of great comments on that series. So, if you're still awake and any of that stuff sounds interesting to you, consider subscribing so that you can see that stuff when it comes out. And of course, if you choose to subscribe or like or leave a comment, I would greatly appreciate it. I love hearing feedback from everyone. So if you have a favorite deck from tonight, or if you'd like to see one of these decks come back in a future Solitaire video, just leave a comment and let me know. But that's going to be it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great night and sleep well.